Hello and welcome everyone to this video on tasks and its types in a SAP Workflow by ZaranTech. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our ZaranTech YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any update from us.
Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss the concept of task and its types in a workflow. Now see, what is the meaning of a task here? So a task is nothing but a kind of activity in the workflow. So what is the meaning of activity? So any kind of thing that you will be performing in your workflow is called as an activity, and a task is nothing but a kind of activity. And we can also say that a workflow is a kind of task. Now, what is the meaning? How we can consider? We can also say that workflow is a kind of task. Now, what is the meaning of it? So, to understand that, I will show you a program. I will show you a program. Just see this program. See, we have got a particular function module SW start underscore workflow. And here in task, see what we are passing. We are passing nothing but a workflow number. If you will go to SWDD T code, see, if you will go to SWDD T code, you can see we have got a workflow number that we are passing here. Now, why we are passing this workflow number? So this particular workflow number is acting as a task here. So we can also say that our workflow is nothing but a kind of task. Now, what is the meaning of kind of task here? So task is nothing but activity, and we can also say that workflow is a kind of task. See, so when we call a workflow via SW start workflow function module, then we need to pass workflow number into the task. That's why we can say that a workflow is nothing but a kind of task. So a task is a kind of activity which can be executed as a part of workflow, and it can also be executed independently here. Now, so workflow, a task is a kind of activity which can be executed as a part of workflow as well, and it can also be executed independently here. Because we can see, we can also consider workflow as a task in itself. So let's discuss the categories of tasks that we have. So the first one is tasks can be categorized in two types. And here, what is it? The first one is single step task, and then we have the multiple step task. So what is this single step task? The single step task can be executed into a single step only. Now let's see what is happening here. If you go to our particular, this is a workflow that I've created for leave approval, request approval. And see, I've created a user decision here, and on the basis of it, I'm sending mail to the employee, and this user decision is being sent to the reporting manager, who will be approving or rejecting the mail of the employee based on the required condition that employee have sent, based of the reason that employee have sent, why you want to take, why is looking for leave for that particular day. So see what is happening here. It will be executed into a single step only. So single step task executes in a single step only, and for example is a user decision. Here user decision is actually what we are doing here. We are assigning an agent to it, and agent is nothing but my reporting manager. So it is executing in a single step. If we double click onto it, and if we go to here in the control, you can see we have got a task here. And the task has been assigned to this particular user decision. So what actually happening here? This particular section is being executed in a single step. So this is called nothing but a single step task. Then we have multiple step tasks. So what are the multiple step tasks? So multiple step tasks will be executed into multiple steps, and the best example will be approving of PR or PO, etc. So these are one categories of tasks. Then we also have foreground and background tasks. Now, what are these foreground and background tasks? So apart from single step and multiple steps Task can be executed in foreground and background as well. Now, sending an email, SAP itself is going to perform the background task. So background tasks are tasks which will be performed by SAP itself. And one of the best example for our background task will be sending an email. Sending an email. Sorry. So let me explain this particular concept to you and see what is actually happening here. Here, this particular user decision will be assigned to my agent. And who is the agent? Agent will be my reporting manager. And it can be possible that my RM will see this particular workflow after 5 days or after a couple of days. So once he will approve or reject, then this particular event will be triggered so that either approve or reject mail can be sent to the employee. So for that particular day, who is going to decide, who will be taking care of this particular action that will be performed there? SAP itself will be taking care, and it is nothing but a background task. So background task is going to take, so SAP itself is going to perform the background task. Then we have a foreground task like user decision, and user has to execute it. So once I will assign my particular user decision to my agent, who will be taking care of this particular foreground task? The user itself will be taking care of the foreground task. So these are also foreground and background tasks. Also, we have one more category of task, but it has been obsoleted at this moment, so I don't want to discuss it with you. So let's discuss some of the important points for our task. So a task is an activity that can be executed within a workflow definition and independently as well. Task can refer to automatically executable methods, background tasks. So task can also refer to automatically executable methods, and the best example of those tasks are background tasks. For example, as I explained you that user decision can be approved or rejected by my RM on maybe 1 or 2 days later. So after the decision will be made, who will be taking care of this particular sending mail action? SAP itself will be taking care of it. So task can be referred to automatically executable method. Then background tasks can be performed by SAP user like WF batch, example trigger a mail based on the user decision. Then we have task also need user intervention to get it executed. For example, foreground or dial-up task, example user decision. So task also need user intervention to get it executed. So if my task or if my user decision is being assigned to the user, and if my user is not approving or rejecting it, then it will keep waiting for my user or agent to come and approve it. So task also need user intervention to get it executed. Then we also have tasks, those can be completed in single step, are called single step tasks, and they are typically used for tasks those are quick and easy to perform, such as sending an email or updating a database record. These are not called as single step tasks because they do not require multiple steps to perform them. And then we have multi-step tasks that can be completed in multiple steps, and they are typically used for tasks those are more complex or time consuming, such as approving a purchase order or creating a new customer account. So in simple word, what is a task in SAP? So task is nothing but a kind of activity in the workflow. And we can also say that a workflow is nothing but a kind of task. Because the best example of this is, here we can see whenever we are going to execute our workflow, a workflow number will be generated. Then we will activate it, a workflow number is going to be generated. And in this particular FM, we will be required to pass this workflow number in this task parameter. All right. So thank you very much.